Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I've made my way to the town of Old Fort, North Carolina. Really looking forward to walking around this small town, kind of investigating around here. This place was actually hit really hard during the travesty that was Hurricane Helene back on September 27th, 2024. So my plan today, hang out in Old Fort, learn a little bit about the history, look at how this place is recovering since the storm, and just enjoy your day here in town. There's also a really cool roadside attraction that's been around since the late 1800s here called Andrew's Geyser. And I really would like to go see that, or see if the road is passable to even get to Andrew's Geyser. It's a little bit out town. It's one of the oldest roadside attractions here in the area. So I would like to go check out Andrew's Geyser, so we're going to try to get into some of that stuff today. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let's go ahead and get started. And right here off of Catawba Avenue is this awesome kind of a historical version or visionary, this mural right here, giving us a little bit of history about Old Fort. Before the arrival of European settlers, the area that is now known as Old Fort was populated by Catawba and Cherokee Indians, which I guess that's where the name Catawba Avenue comes from that little bit of story. That was back in the 1500s, and then English and Scottish settlers actually arrived in the area in the mid-1700s. During the Revolutionary War, a stockade of the fort was constructed on the land owned by Brother George and Samuel Davidson. It was called Davidson's Fort and was the post for military expedition such as General Griffith Rutherford in 1776. The fort became a site for trading between settlers and Native Americans shortly thereafter. And I imagine that's what they're showing us right here in this picture, because you have the settlers, and then right over here we have the Indians, and you can see the kind of the wall of the fort, the wood with like the sharpened, pointy tops on them that forts had back in those days. And I don't know what's going on with this big arrowhead. Maybe it's some kind of monument that's here around somewhere. I don't know. We'll keep our eyes peeled as we move forward here in the little town. Really cool find. I really like this. This is beautiful. Right here, I made my way over here to the corner of Catawba Avenue and Commerce Street here in downtown Old Fort. And I'm a big fan of murals, and this in here really pops. I really like this one a lot. I love the use of the oranges. It's like a really nice bright colors. The sun up there looks amazing. And this is even a shaded like alleyway road almost, and it still just pops off the building so beautifully. This is actually a really, really great job. I like this painting a lot. And I love how you just have this young lady on the mountainside, riding her bicycle, maybe enjoying a sunset. Check out the architecture of these older buildings right here in downtown area. Matter of fact, we have a coffee shop right across the street that's not open today. That's a shame. I would love to go inside and get a cup of coffee at Seeker Coffee. And then right behind me is the Old Fort Police Department and Town Hall building right here in the downtown area. All right, I made my way up here to the top of Catawba Avenue, and look what I just found. Check this out. Look at this cool arrowhead monument right here in the center of town. Really awesome. And by the way, right behind the monument, that is the Old Fort Train Station Museum, located right here off the train tracks. Really cool. And looks like we got us a placard over here with a little bit of information on it. This placard says, "Frontier Fort, early outpost against Indians used by General Rutherford in expedition against Cherokee, September 1776. He stood here nearby and gave name to this town." So this would have been the location where they actually named Old Fort. And if you did not know, the town of Old Fort, North Carolina was established in February 23rd, 1873, when the town used to be called Catawba Valley. So a little bit of cool information right here in the downtown area. All right, I made my way across Main Street. Right over there's where we came from. You can see the Arrowhead Monument. But look at these old brick buildings here in the downtown area. This is awesome right here off of Main Street. These are actually, it says it's apartments. That sign right there, this is actually apartments here in the area. But this place really struck my fancy when I seen it, this home family care. What do you think this used to be at one time? I mean, look at the architecture of the building, the bricks, but definitely the front. This is wild looking. Is that glass? What's going on here? Yes. Some kind of caulk. But look at the shape of it, how it kind of goes out like a wave and comes around. I mean, this almost looks like a club from the 60s or something, you know? We used to have an old place down at Carolina Beach, North Carolina. Sorry about the noise, there's a lot of heavy machinery driving by. But in Carolina Beach, we had this old club called the OP, or the Ocean Plaza, which has long been torn down now, but it had some stuff like that. That's where I kind of remember that from. I love coming in doing some window shopping. I don't know if this is a store that's actually open anymore, but look at that motorcycle in there. That is freaking awesome. That gas tank, that is a real relic. And right here on this chain of brick buildings, these storefronts here, we got the Catawba Vale Hub, which is the original name of the town, as we found out a little bit earlier. This is a coffee shop right here. Really, really cool. I wish this place was open, or I could talk to somebody about this. This is called 27 Main Pizza, Subs, and Salads. I don't see any, they don't have no hours or anything. But it looks like it's definitely open. They got power in there. I see their drinks back here in the back, and they even have a little chalkboard thing that they set out here to let people know what they have. That's pretty cool. All right, I think it's time to move from this area and go look around. I like to go down there and see the old fort itself if we can, to see if we can get to it anyway, because that area got flooded really bad during Helene. So we're going to make our way down in that area and see what happens. All right, I made my way down here to the old Davison Fort, and it doesn't look like we will be walking inside this fenced in area today. They've got quite a bit of work going on. They might even be storing some stuff down there. I don't know if they're using this place as like a storage area for, you know, Hurricane Helene, to kind of help out with certain things that's going on here in this area. There's a lot of construction going on, so maybe that's what's happening. But I did since we're in Old Fort, North Carolina, I thought it was only right to at least come down here and show the old fort itself. Right here it is. This is it. All right, let's go ahead and head over to Andrews Geyser now, and hopefully it will be in better shape than the fort. Get a little bit more up close to that one, I bet. All right, my friends, we are on our way to the geyser, but I thought I'd make a quick little stop because I seen something about blew my mind. We was talking about Helene damage. I am in a community that was ravaged by it. And the community I'm in, there's actually a old fort Free Will Baptist Church located right here across the road. I just spoke to some locals here in the area. This place has been just decimated with flood damage. Look at this double wide right here. Check this out. I mean, this was somebody's home. I mean, right here is the brick foundation, the underpinning lifted. You can see the water line right here below the 381 where the water lifted, made this whole entire double wide home, mobile home, just float right off the foundation. Now, the nice gentleman across the street I was speaking to, he said the insurance companies came in. A lot of these people lost their properties because nobody had flood insurance, and very few people have flood insurance. But he was telling me about how they come in, they check the metal framing beneath the home that the home actually is built on. All these trailers and mobile homes, they always have like a metal framing beneath them. And as long as that's straight, they felt like they could pick this home up, put it back on the brick foundation, and repair everything, and they can move in. He said that happened maybe 2 months ago. So maybe right before Christmas or around Christmas time. Still ain't heard nothing since. Now, the main reason I stopped right through here was because of these railroad tracks have been just washed out. I have never seen railroad tracks look like this, what I'm about to show you. This is unbelievable. A lot of sand out here. But check this out. Look at that. Right here is like a train trestle, a bridge that goes across the river. Look at the tracks. All this ain't normal. This used to be ground just like this right over here to the left. They were soil beneath these tracks. And now it's all been washed out. This is unbelievable. I mean, look at that. That right there, my friends, is the power of water. That is absolutely craziest thing I've ever seen. So as you can see, right here's the train track. It's been completely unearthed. And the guy I talked to a few minutes ago actually said what happened was there was a abundance of trees and big limbs, something like this stuff here. It's been cleaned up now, but it had been washed down the river, and like it was, it made a dam maybe right over here in this area, I believe. It dammed it up really bad, and when it made that dam and all that rushing water couldn't flow through the river bays in here, the banks, it backed up and it diverted the water up out of the river banks this direction. And it made it just kind of come right through this area right here. And that's what washed away all that soil where the train track would actually ride along. My goodness. I mean, check this out. We're gonna get a little bit closer here. But look at that. There's an up and close pic of what it all looks like. Holy moly. Looks so weird. I mean, you live your whole life and you never think you're going to see anything like that. And here I am, viewing it in person. All right, so I made my way up here to the top side of the track now to get a little bit better vantage point of the destruction here in Old Fort. Right here, the old train track. Looks more like a roller coaster now than it does a train track, that's for sure. You know, I gotta say, when you see this kind of damage to something, will it ever be the same again? Will it ever be fixed? I mean, what is it going to take to fix it? And then on top of that, fix it in a way where this can't happen again. That's the scary part. Now we're on the opposite side where you can kind of see what it looks like over here. We was over there looking back this way a few minutes ago. It's just hard to believe this was all underwater. This here's the back side of what it looks like, or maybe the front side actually. Look at all that debris right across the way there, still up in the area. I'm thinking this is the area that was really dammed up. He said, I think the wood dammed up against this bridge and it just backed water up everywhere. And that's how you get that. Absolutely unbelievable. All right, my friends, that's it for this section. Let's move on up a little bit closer to Andrew Geyser and see what we can see along the way. If I see anything else, I will definitely stop. All right, right across the way, right there's where we was just located at the train tracks. Were just being completely washed out. One of the locals across the street actually told me this was a homestead. There's a brick house right here. You can see a lot of the brick left behind from demolition. Total loss home. And right here is the front porch steps that would take you up into the property, to the house. Here would be their driveway. And left behind is a fork and a butter knife. It's kind of sad to think about that. Find a butter knife and a fork behind, you had to wonder, like, you know, that might have been somebody's favorite fork. And right across from that property is another driveway and another home that has been completely demolished and removed from the property. And all that being said, we're going to move on now. Just wanted to stop, document this. My hearts go out to everyone who was affected by this nasty storm. All right, so I'm just not too far away from those railroad tracks I just showed you a few minutes ago in that little neighborhood. But look at this place. All the damage that was done here. And especially this. This here was like apartments maybe. Or a motel, a hotel or something. But look at how it just took the end of this building off. Just wiped it away. And just like that, we have made it to Andrews Geyser here in Old Fort, North Carolina. And unfortunately for us, the geyser is not geysering. It's not spewing any water. It's dried up right now. And I'm sure Hurricane Helene had a lot to do with this, because the creek riverbed is just right over here. And as much as I can tell, the water as high as it rose, it definitely would have affected this spot right here. I was kind of afraid of this, but all in all, I'm going to take you up here now. There's a monument with a little bit of history, and it's going to tell us why the Andrew Geyser was built. So Andrews Geyser is a man-made fountain here in Old Fort. The fountain is named for Colonel Alexander Boyd Andrews, a North Carolina native who was the vice president of the Southern Railway Company and one of the people responsible for the construction of the railroad between Old Fort and Asheville. In the late 19th century, the fountain was constructed in 1885. With a dual purpose, it was a feature of the Round Knob Hotel, and it was a tribute to approximately 120 individuals who died building the railroad through the particularly treacherous stretch of land that the railroad follows here between Old Fort and Asheville. As you can see, right over here is the railroad, right up above us there. And then we come over here, this memorial sheds a little bit more light on who is responsible for building this railroad that the Wikipedia version did not state. So this is a memorial to the incarcerated. So this was people that was jailed, railroad workers who built the mountain division of the Western North Carolina Railroad. Look around, see the railroad tracks looping up the mountainside, it says. About 3,000 African-American men and a few hundred African-American women, virtually all of them prisoners or former slaves, laid those tracks. Between 1875 and 1879, they also created 7 tunnels to get the mountain division of the Western North Carolina Railroad to the top of Old Fort Mountain. Some of those laborers have been convicted on false or even flimsy evidence of sentenced to terms much longer than their crimes merited. They arrived at nearby Henry Station in crude boxcars, having been shipped like produce from North Carolina State Penitentiary in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that is the backstory to Andrews Geyser. I just learned a lot there. That first part I was telling you about where the name come from, I knew it was a monument of people that had died building the railroads, My friends, I did not know that it was because it was all African American. Had no clue on that part. I'm so glad that memorial, if I can talk, that memorial was here. I'm so glad that was here. Got to learn a piece about the history of this area. I hope you enjoyed today's vlog, because I learned a lot about Old Fort. Didn't know a whole lot about it. Nice little fun day. I hate to see all the destruction that we've seen today in that one little neighborhood, man. That was so heartbreaking to go through there and see where people lost their homes and the railroad track being washed out. That was just so scary looking. I could not imagine going through anything like that. And I really, my heart goes out to anybody who had to experience this horrible, tragic thing that happened up here in the western North Carolina mountains. That being said, I am all done today. I have to wrap it up today. I got some driving to do. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. So long.